2145 Yu families return. After spending half a day with Yu Rou and Bai Lianhua, Meishio returned home.
You're back.
When Meishio walked through the entrance, she was greeted by a familiar face sweeping the ground.
Mother.
It was Mei Feng. Although the members of Demon Sealing faction spend most of their time inside Cultivation Online these days, Mei Feng continued to clean the mansion daily.
How have you been lately?
Meishio asked.
The same as usual.
Mei Feng calmly replied as she continued sweeping the floor.
You've entered Spirit Lord. Congratulations.
Meishio said after noticing Mei Feng's cultivation had reached the second level of Spirit Lord.
It's nothing compared to your Spirit's sovereign cultivation. Your cultivation would be a lot higher if you didn't spend hours cleaning the house every day.
Meishio shook her head.
Honestly, it's a waste of time.
Mei Feng halted her movements and replied.
I've been doing this long before you were even born. Even if the entire world changes, it doesn't mean I have to change. I enjoy doing this, so I will continue doing it, even if it's not necessary. Also, I have nothing else to do nowadays. Although the Demon Sealing faction used to be at the center of attention and constantly flooded with requests and emails, we're pretty much forgotten nowadays since we haven't made any appearances since Yuan left. Why don't you explore Cultivation Online more? You can even meet Yuan there.
Meishio suggested.
I tried. It was fun at first, but after several years, I got bored. But you don't find housework boring? I can't understand you.
Meishio sighed.
Why are you so worried about what I do? It's not like I'm going to die. The world is constantly evolving. If you cannot keep up with it, you'll eventually be consumed by it.
Mei Feng smiled and said.
Fortunately, I have a capable daughter and son-in-law to protect me when that happens.
Meishio opened her mouth, but no words came out, as she was left speechless by her mother's words.
What? You're not going to protect me?
Mei Feng asked, raising her eyebrows.
I never said that.
Meishio replied.
I just didn't expect to hear those words from you, since you've always taught me that we can only rely on ourselves and nobody else. That was our life working for the Yu family, after all. However, things are different now.
Meishio fell silent for a moment before asking.
Have you learned anything about the Yu family? You mentioned you'd been trying to find them, and that was over 10 years ago.
After a brief look of hesitation on her face, Mei Feng responded.
Yes, I have. In fact, I found them. Really?
Meishio's eyes widened at this news.
Where are they? And what have they been doing since they disappeared? What are you going to do with that information?
Mei Feng asked.
What am I?
Meishio raised her eyebrows.
You're making it sound like I'm going to do something to them once I learn their whereabouts. I'm just curious. I'll tell you after I finish cleaning, or are you too busy to wait? No, I can wait. I won't be doing anything for a while since I just finished my training in Cultivation Online.
Mei Feng nodded and returned to her cleaning. Sometime later, Meishio went to look for Mei Feng in her room.
Come inside.
Meishio opened the door and stepped inside Mei Feng's room. Once they were seated, Mei Feng began.
When their reputation was shattered, the Yu family went into hiding, and I wasn't able to get any information on them. However, a few years ago, they returned. Returned?
Meishio asked with raised eyebrows.
As in they stopped hiding? It's most likely because Yuan had completely disappeared from both Earth and Cultivation Online for the last few decades, and they probably believe he's dead or something.
Since Yuan was no longer a player, his achievements were no longer announced by the system, and because this wasn't the first time he had disappeared for long stretches, no one thought much of it at first. But as years passed without a single announcement bearing his name, and with nobody having seen him on Earth, people gradually began to speculate that he had died. People have tried searching for Yuan in Cultivation Online, but since the players were only able to ascend up to the 5th heaven these days, they were nowhere near close to reaching him.
So where are they right now? And what are they doing now that they have returned?
Meishio asked.
They're currently running a business for the Xiong family. The Xiong family? Aren't they the #1 family in the legacy ranking? Do they know the Yu family's background?
Mei Feng nodded.
Yes. In fact, they agreed to work with the Yu family because they are aware of their connection with Yuan. As for the Yu family's business, they run a talent recruitment business. Is that so?
Meishio muttered.
Are you going to tell Ro?
Mei Feng suddenly asked.
What's the point? I doubt she even cares about them at this point. If you say so.
After learning about the Yu family's current situation, Meishio and Mei Feng continued chatting about other things, such as their future plans.
You may not look like it, but you're already twice the age I was when I gave birth to you. When can I expect a grandchild?
Mei Feng asked.
You're asking me that when Yuan isn't even on Earth anymore? Are you asking me to find a new partner? Of course not. Yuan may not be here right now, but it's not like he'll never return.
Meishio fell silent for a moment before speaking.
Ro plans on leaving Earth to follow Yuan in the 9 heavens in the future. I also plan to do the same. What about you? It's not like I have any special attachments to this place. If both my daughter and son-in-law are at another place, I will naturally go there with you.
She said.
The question is whether I'll still be alive by the time that happens. You can live for hundreds of years as a spirit lord, but if you're worried and you don't want to die before seeing your grandchild, then you should put more effort into your cultivation,
said Meishio.
If you put it like that, I guess I have no choice but to work harder on my cultivation,
Mei Feng said with a bittersweet smile. 2146 arrangements. A few days after the demon sealing faction's return, Wang Ming and everyone who came from the Jaded Garden decided to leave the mountain to visit their family.
We'll return in a few months. Have fun,
Mei Feng said to them.
I'm also going to visit my grandfather for a few weeks.
Wang Xiuying also left the Dragon Spiral Mountain 2 days later, leaving only Chu Liuxiang, Meishio, and Mei Feng at the house. Although everyone communicated with their families often through phone calls and video chats, this was their first time going back home in person in many years. With nothing else to do, Meishio and Chu Liuxiang spent most of their time with Yu Rou and the members of Eternal Lotuses. Besides Eternal Lotuses, they also visited the Lord, who spends most of his time trying to regain his cultivation. At the Jaded Garden, the 6 spiritual families held a grand feast to celebrate their genius's return, a celebration that lasted an entire week.
Do any of you regret leaving home to follow Yuan?
One of the elders asked during the banquet.
Of course not.
Wang Ming replied firmly.
To have met someone like him is the greatest fortune of my life, and to follow him is an even greater blessing, right? Without him, we could have never reached where we are now, not even a lifetime.
Shi Lang added, and everyone nodded in agreement.
How's Yuan doing these days? I haven't heard a peep from him for many years now. Some even think he's dead. Nothing's happened to him, right?
Another asked. Wu Zhao chuckled and said.
You don't know Yuan like we do. That man is a freak. There's nothing in this world that could threaten him, so you don't have to worry. He's definitely fine. Hey, is Yuan looking for any partners right now? I'd like to introduce my daughter to him. You should give up. He's way out of our league.
Shi Murong said.
But didn't Jinxi manage to capture his heart?
Wang Ming remarked.
What?
Everyone not part of the demon sealing faction snapped their heads to look at Li Jinxi after hearing Wang Ming's comment, as this was their first time hearing about her relationship with Yuan.
When? When did this happen?
Li Jinxi's father shouted as he stood up with a face full of shock. However, Li Jinxi didn't say anything and remained silent.
It happened right before Yuan left, I think.
Shi Lang said.
That long ago, and none of you even bothered to tell us. Well, we were busy. What about you, Bing Bing? How far have you progressed with him?
The Wang family asked.
We're just friends.
Wang Bingbing hastily said with a flushed face.
You really need to step up your game.
Her mother sighed.
Shut up.
Sometime later, Li Jinxi spoke up.
There's something I need to tell you all.
The chattering stopped, and everyone turned their focus to her.
As you know, Yuan left Earth and went to the 9 heavens. I wasn't able to follow him at that time, but in the future, when there is another opportunity, I will also leave Earth.
She said.
There's still plenty of time before that happens, but I wanted to let you know ahead of time so you wouldn't be puzzled if I were to vanish one day suddenly.
Hearing Li Jinxi's words, Wang Ming then said.
I also plan on leaving Earth in the future. After experiencing the 9 heavens, I am no longer content with this small world.
The others began voicing the same thing afterward, that they planned on leaving Earth in the future. However, despite the sudden announcement, no one there seemed surprised by it. After a moment of silence, one of them spoke out loud.
We already anticipated this would happen when Yuan left Earth back then. In fact, we were surprised that none of you actually followed him to the 9 heavens. Well, it's not that we didn't want to. We just couldn't,
said Hong Xiuquan.
Will you be unable to return to Earth once you leave?
Someone asked.
We should have no issues coming back. Granted, nobody messes with the gate like last time. In that case, I see no problem with you leaving. It is a fact that this world has become too small for you all. So, you have no clue when you'll leave? No.
Their families continued asking questions until they were satisfied. In the end, none of their family had any issue with them leaving Earth. In fact, they even encouraged it. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, an entire year had passed. The Demon Sealing faction returned to the Dragon Spiral Mountain and logged back into Cultivation Online for the first time. Shortly after their return, Kellen summoned them.
The arrangements have been made,
he said.
But nothing is final yet. In a few days, your potential masters will arrive to interview you. If they find you suitable and agree to accept you, the decision will then be yours. After all, we won't force you to join a place you do not approve of. Li Jinxi, go speak with Senior Bai at the Myriad of Techniques tomorrow. He wants to have a conversation with you.
Li Jinsi silently nodded.
Any questions? Can you tell us more, so we know what to expect?
Shi Lang asked. Kellen nodded and proceeded to explain the places they might be going in detail to them. Once satisfied, they were dismissed. The following day, Li Jinsi visited the myriad of techniques.
Senior Bai.
Li Jinsi respectfully greeted him after entering his world.
Li Jinsi, correct? This will be our first one-on-one conversation. Please sit down.
Senior Bai gestured to the table, where 2 teacups were prepared in advance. Senior Bai continued as he poured her a cup of tea.
You're probably wondering why I called you, so I will get straight to the point. According to Kellen, not only are you the most talented in your group, but you're also the hardest working. Yet, you intend to train on your own while your friends all agree to train in other sections. May I ask for your reasoning?
2147 Heaven's Sect. Hearing Senior Bai's question, Li Jinsi responded calmly, without a trace of hesitation.
It's quite simple. I just don't believe there's anything these sects can teach me.
After all, she was a reincarnator who carried the memories of her past life. Unlike the others, she was already far ahead in terms of experience. Cultivation sects were typically stepping stones for the inexperienced or havens for those wishing to settle in one place. But Li Jinsi was neither, and she would gain far more by wandering the world on her own. In fact, most cultivators who graduate from their sects more often than not set out on their own adventures, hoping to encounter good fortune along the way. However, Li Jinsi couldn't reveal such information to Senior Bai even though she trusted him.
So, you deem the sects unworthy of your time?
Senior Bai murmured, closing his eyes in contemplation. Ordinarily, such words would come only from cultivators blinded by arrogance. Yet in Li Jinsi's voice, he detected no such conceit. Even though this was his first true conversation with her, he could already discern that she was different from the rest. There was something oddly familiar about Li Jinsi, a feeling he would sometimes get when speaking with Yuan, but he couldn't pinpoint it. Li Jinsi spoke a moment later.
It's not that I'm looking down on these sections. I have more experience than it appears, and I've already graduated from several sections. No, I understand where you're coming from. However, you cannot compare the sects in the lower heavens to the sects here,
said Senior Bai, misunderstanding her. He knew Li Jinsi was a player who started her journey in the lower heavens, so in his eyes, all of her experience came from the lower heavens, which is incomparable to the upper heavens. Realizing Senior Bai's misunderstanding, she said,
I think it would be easier to explain with my abilities. I see, that is a good idea. It'd definitely be quicker if you showed me your current abilities. That way, I can better gauge whether you would benefit from being in a sect or not.
Senior Bai nodded. He turned around and flew to an open area before beckoning her.
Come at me. No need to hold back.
Li Jinsi nodded and retrieved her treasure, the Golden Empress.
A fine sword.
Senior Bai remarked with a smile on his face.
Here I come.
In the next moment, Li Jinsi unleashed her full cultivation without hesitation, striking at Senior Bai with the clear intent to defeat him. In their very first exchange, Senior Bai was forced back. His eyes widened as he said,
My apologies. I underestimated you.
Li Jinsi gave a silent nod, allowing Senior Bai a moment to ready himself before launching her second strike, one even stronger than the first. She had known he would underestimate her, which was why she hadn't gone all out at the start. However, Senior Bai was prepared this time and managed to block her strike. Yet, he was still astonished by her overwhelming prowess. She's only a bronze immortal, but she exudes the power of a golden immortal. Kellen was right, her talent is overwhelming. It's like I am fighting Yuan, he cried inwardly. Li Jinsi's overwhelming prowess and talent reminded Senior Bai of his first exchange with Yuan. Senior Bai quickly understood why Li Jinsi had no confidence in sects and would rather train herself. After a while, Senior Bai said,
That's enough. Let's stop here.
Li Jinsi halted right away. Even after giving it her all, she hadn't managed to land a clean strike, which frustrated her.
You're undeniably talented. Far more than Kellen gave you credit for.
Senior Bai remarked.
Your movement and technique are good enough to become an instructor in an elite sect, and you clearly have a lot of combat experience. However, you also still have a lot of room for improvement, and I firmly believe that you would benefit a lot from joining a sect. While there are only a handful of sects that would qualify to train someone of your caliber, and all of them only accept the best of the best, you should have no issue being accepted by them.
Li Jinsi remained silent for a good moment before speaking.
If you were to recommend me a sect, which one would it be?
Senior Bai closed his eyes to ponder.
Either the Divine Essence Monastery or Heaven's Sect. The Divine Essence Monastery is a top sect in the ninth heaven that only accepts female disciples, and Heaven's Sect is operated by the Tian family, which is the second strongest family in the nine heavens. Do you remember Tian Yueshing from Sword Emperor's qualification? The so-called #1 genius who challenged Yuan and got utterly defeated? I remember. He's from that sect. Not just him. Many experts who currently stand at the peak of the cultivation world came from Heaven's sect. In fact, I also used to be a disciple there.
Said Senior Bai. He continued.
With your talents, you won't have any problems getting in. If you want, you could decide after taking a look at them first. I will need some time to consider.
Li Jinsi responded a moment later.
Take all the time you need. Once you decide, let Kellen know so he can contact me. All right.
Li Jinsi left shortly after. Once she left, Senior Bai sat down and sighed.
What a terrifying young lad. The newer generation is truly full of monsters. I'm afraid that it won't be long before the older generation becomes irrelevant.
After leaving myriad of techniques, Li Jinsi returned to her room, where she lay on the bed and quietly stared at the ceiling.
Heaven's sect, that's where I died in my past life.
She muttered. Though she had yet to recover all her memories, or the details of her death, she remembered her final moments taking place within Heaven's sect. And for the next several days, Li Jinsi remained inside her room to ponder her choices. 2148 Klaying. On the fourth day of the Demon Sealing faction's return to Cultivation Online, Kellen summoned Wang Ming when his recruiter arrived at the sect.
This junior greets senior.
Wang Ming bowed to the handsome middle-aged man standing beside Kellen. The man nodded and introduced himself.
My name is Luan, and I am the sect master of the Origin Sword sect. We're a top 5 sword sect within the 9 heavens, and #2 in the 8th heaven.
The man proceeded to give a brief history lesson on the Origin Sword sect to Wang Ming, as well as some of their biggest achievements. At the end, Kellen spoke.
After watching over you for the last few decades, I believe your sword style is compatible with the Origin Sword sect. However, don't just take my word for it.
Luan then spoke.
I'm going to give you a quick test to determine whether you're qualified for the Origin Sword sect, as well as show you what my sword style is capable of.
Wang Ming nodded and followed them to Kellen's private training ground. Inside, Wang Ming and Luan faced each other with a sword.
Come at me with the intention to kill,
said Luan before the fight began. During the fight, Wang Ming used every card in his hand to try to defeat Luan. However, the results were quite obvious, and Wang Ming was unable to touch Luan even after 6 hours of continuous fighting.
Let's stop here,
Luan said after placing his sword against Wang Ming's neck. After the fight, Wang Ming felt a little dispirited. He had anticipated a difficult battle, but he never imagined the gap would be so vast, that he wouldn't even be able to land a single hit on Luan. Noticing Wang Ming's face, Luan spoke.
I heard from sect leader Kellen that you're not even 100 years old. Is that true?
Wang Ming silently nodded.
Then you have immense potential and plenty of room to grow. In fact, I can see you quickly becoming a top disciple in my sect if you work hard enough.
Is that so? Luan then asked.
So what do you think of my sword style? Do you feel any desire to learn it? Do.
Wang Ming quickly responded. Luan smiled and said.
Why don't you come to my sect and take a look around before you make a final decision? I will do that then.
Luan turned to look at Kellen and smiled.
Thank you for giving our sect the opportunity to recruit such a young talent. We owe you a great debt.
Kellen shook his head.
You don't owe me anything. I am just doing what's best for the kid. When can you leave?
Luan asked Wang Ming.
Immediately.
He quickly responded.
You don't need to say goodbye to your friends?
Kellen asked. Wang Ming smiled and said.
I already said my goodbyes to them.
The next moment, Luan retrieved a flying treasure and boarded it with Wang Ming before disappearing from the sect. A few hours after Wang Ming left the sect, another expert arrived at the sect, and Shi Lang was summoned.
I am Zhong Man, also known as the Demon Spear. I am the sect leader of the Heaven-Piercing Spear sect, and we are the #1 spear sect in the entire 9 heavens. Though you were recommended by sect leader Kellen and sect leader Bai, I still need to evaluate you to see if you qualify to join.
Shi Lang nodded.
Exactly how I want it. The evaluation will take place at our sect, so you can take a look around while you're at it. When can you leave? I can leave right now. Very well.
Wasting no time, Zhong Man left with Shi Lang a minute later. Over the next few days, more and more experts arrived, each coming to take members of the Demon Sealing faction away.
I am an elder at the Celestial Cauldron sect. We're the #1 sect for alchemists in the 9 heavens, and most of the top pill masters in this world have studied under us. If that's not enough, our sect leader is the current god of alchemy. If your talent permits it, you could even become her disciple. God of alchemy.
Wang Xiaoying swallowed nervously at this title.
If you wish to join us, you will need to pass several exams. However, I have to be honest. Considering your lack of experience, I don't think you have what it takes to pass the exams,
said the elder. Unlike cultivation sects, which place talent above all else, alchemy sects require both innate talent and accumulated experience. As Wang Xiuying had yet to live a full century, her experience was still lacking. Even with the celestial overlord's influence, Kellen was only able to give Wang Xiuying the opportunity to take the exam. If she wanted to enter the sect, she needed to do so with her own abilities.
Even if there's a 99.99 chance that I'd fail, I would still like to take the exam,
Wang Xiuying said with a determined expression. Sometime later, Wang Xiuying left with the elder, leaving just Meishou, Chu Liuxiang, and Li Jinsi at the sect. 2 days later, Kellen called for Meishou. When she arrived, Meishou could see a tall and muscular woman who rivaled Kellen's physique standing next to him.
Hello.
Meishou had to tilt her head to look at the woman's face. Despite her rough appearance, the woman smiled and said,
Hello, little one. I am Keiling. Keiling.
Meishou turned to look at Kellen, who smiled back.
This is Keiling, my elder sister. I didn't know you had siblings,
Meishou remarked. Kellen sighed aloud.
I usually avoid anything related to my family. We don't exactly have the best relationship. That's an understatement.
Keiling cut in.
You despise us. So imagine my surprise when you suddenly reached out to me.
2149 Keiling, 2.
That's not right.
Kellen shook his head and elaborated.
I despise our parents. I harbor no hard feelings toward any of my siblings. After all, it was our parents' decision to feed me giant's blood. Even though you gained immense strength from it, all of our siblings envy you, you know?
Keiling said.
That strength didn't come for free.
Kellen replied, his fists clenched tightly.
I endured decades of indescribable pain just to absorb it. Even now, my body still aches at times, as if remembering what I went through back then.
Keiling fell silent. Although she had also consumed a giant's blood, it wasn't anywhere close to the amount Kellen had to consume, not to mention that he'd consumed high-tier giant blood, so she couldn't even pretend to understand the torment Kellen had to endure.
Anyway, let's get back on topic,
Kellen said a moment later. Keiling nodded and continued.
Let me start over. I'm Keiling, Kellen's elder sister. I specialize in archery, and I'm known as the star-piercing huntress. I came because Kellen begged me to guide you. But to be honest, I've never taken on a disciple before, and my experience as a teacher is minimal. I may not be the most suitable person to teach you. Hell, I don't even know why Kellen came to me for help.
Kellen then said.
You're the best archer I know, and I only want the best for her.
Keiling raised her brows and asked suspiciously.
Is she your girl, or something? You don't even treat your own disciples this well.
Flustered, Kellen quickly replied.
She's not. She already has someone, and her partner is a person I owe a great deal to. Is that so? Well, that won't change the fact that I might not be a suitable teacher, even if I'm the best archer in the 9 heavens.
She said.
I don't mind.
Meishou suddenly said.
If it doesn't work out, I can always find a different teacher. Are you sure? My training methods might not be suitable for a fragile-looking lady like you. Honestly, it's quite barbaric. You shouldn't judge her by her appearance,
Kellen said.
Despite how she looks, she's very hard-working and surprisingly tough. After all, she endured all of my training without uttering a single complaint. The only other person in their group who didn't complain the slightest was Li Jinsi, and she's in a league of her own.
Because of Mei Feng's upbringing, Meishou's mental fortitude far surpassed that of the others, and that was without even considering the experience from her past life. Keiling stared at Meishou in silence for a good moment before sighing.
All right, I'll train you. I've been thinking about starting my own sect recently, so this will be a good experience. Then it's settled,
said Kellen.
I'll come back for you in a month, so use this time to prepare yourself.
Keiling said, as she also needed some time to prepare. Meishou nodded. The following day, Chu Liuxiang was summoned by Kellen.
HM, where's my teacher?
Chu Liuxiang asked when she saw Kellen by himself.
He's running a little late, but he'll be here soon. Okay.
A few minutes later, a familiar figure appeared before them.
Senior Bai, don't tell me you're going to be my teacher.
Chu Liuxiang asked with a surprised face. Senior Bai smiled and said.
Not quite. You specialize in spiritual techniques, specifically the Yin element, and you've also been studying array symbols, correct?
Chu Liuxiang nodded and elaborated.
I'm studying array symbols, but it's more of a side project, something I do when I want a breath of fresh air. My focus is still cultivation. I understand,
said Senior Bai.
Originally, Kellen intended to send you to a sect specializing in the Yin element, such as the Frozen Cloud Ethereal sect. But I have a different proposal, Why not join my Gates of Heaven instead? We specialize in traditional cultivation methods and spiritual techniques, and we also have many experts in the Een element. And should you wish to pursue array symbols, I can personally guide you, as I am a level 7 array master. Really? That's great, because I'd rather train in a place with familiar people.
Chu Liuxiang said. Senior Bai nodded and said,
I have another proposal. As you know, there is a Gates of Heaven in the 5th heaven, 7th heaven, and another in the 9th heaven. If you want the best resources and most experienced lecturers, you should join the Gates of Heaven in the 9th heaven.
Chu Liuxiang's eyes widened at his proposal, and she said,
I'm already humbled that you would let me join the Gates of Heaven, but to bring me to the 9th heaven. Are you sure? I'm afraid that I am not talented enough.
Senior Bai spoke in a serious tone.
I'll be honest with you. If not for our connection, you wouldn't have qualified to enter the Gates of Heaven in the 7th heaven, let alone the 9th. But talent alone doesn't determine everything in the cultivation world. Luck and connections matter just as much. That said, if you choose to join the sect in the 9th heaven, you will likely face ridicule from those around you. I can shield you to a certain degree, but I cannot afford to show excessive favoritism. Take some time to think it over.
It wasn't only Chu Liuxiang. The other demon sealing faction members would also face ridicule for their young age, especially if people discovered they had joined through connections. Yet, despite such a possibility, Chu Liuxiang did not hesitate to reply.
I don't need to think about it. It's true that I don't qualify to step foot in such a place, let alone train with others who joined through their own efforts. I won't give up such an opportunity just because someone might ridicule me.
Senior Bai smiled and said,
Don't make it sound like you didn't put any effort into it. I only made this proposal because of how hard you train with Kellen, and I believe you will thrive despite the difference.
2150 returning to the Holy Dragon clan.
Since it's decided, I will take you to the 9th heaven so you can train in the Gates of Heaven. However, it'll take some time to get approval, so you can continue staying here until then.
Senior Bai said. Chu Liuxiang nodded.
Take your time. It shouldn't take too long, 3 months at most. I understand.
Senior Bai left shortly after.
Don't worry too much about it,
Kellen said afterward.
There may be a few bad apples, but most disciples of the Gates of Heaven have good character, a reflection of their leader, Senior Bai. However, if things do get out of hand, don't hesitate to ask Senior Bai for help. I'm not worried at all.
Chu Liuxiang said with a confident smile. Sometime later, Chu Liuxiang went to speak with Meishio and Li Jinsi about her arrangements.
So, I'll be studying in the 9th heaven at the Gates of Heaven,
she announced.
Senior Bai's sect, huh? I'll be training with Kellen's elder sister.
Meishio said.
Huh? Kellen has a sister.
Chu Liuxiang's eyes widened with surprise at this news. Meishio nodded.
He has several other siblings, too. What about you, Sister Jinsi? Where will you be going?
The two looked at her.
I haven't decided yet. I was on a train alone in the wilderness, but Senior Bai gave me other options. I can train at the Divine Essence Monastery, or Heaven's Sect. Both of them exist within the 9th heaven. I think you would still benefit from training at a sect, even with your experience,
said Meishio.
I think so too.
Chu Liuxiang agreed. Meanwhile, Shimeli and Leah just arrived at the Dragon Spiral Mountain.
Halt! Identify yourself.
A guard stopped them once they got close enough.
Hello, my name is Shimeli. I remember you. You're Dragon Goddess Yayo's envoy's friend.
The guard interrupted.
Yes. I came here with Yuan some time ago. Why did you return? Did something happen? No. This may sound weird, but I was wondering if I could train here with my friend. Training, huh? Let me speak with my superior. Follow me.
Shimeli and Leah followed the guard to the Dragon Spiral Mountain. Upon returning to the Dragon Spiral Mountain, Shimeli and Leah were brought to a guest house before the guard left to contact the elders.
Shimeli? That young dragon from last time has returned, and she wants to train here.
The elders raised an eyebrow at this news.
Should I send them away?
The guard asked after seeing the elders' reaction.
What? Are you insane? They're the immortal Dragon Goddess envoy's companion. They could train here for as long as they'd like.
The elder said. Besides the elders and highest-ranking members, the rest of the Holy Dragon clan were unaware of Yuan's true identity as the immortal monarch.
I understand.
Thus, Shimeli and Leah began living at Dragon Spiral Mountain with the Holy Dragon clan. The children were overjoyed to see Shimeli again, while the adults grew curious about Leah's identity. Although she was also a dragon, Leah had grown up on Earth, and her scent and aura carried a difference that stirred their curiosity. A month later, Keilang returned to take Meishio away.
Good luck, Meishio.
Chu Liuxiang and Li Jinsi said in farewell.
See you later.
Another month passed, and Senior Bai personally escorted Chu Liuxiang to the 9th heaven, where she would begin her training at the gates of heaven. Now, it was just Li Jinsi who remained at Kellen's sect. Kellen didn't rush her and patiently waited for her to decide. A few days later, Li Jinsi made up her mind.
I will go train at Heaven's sect,
she said to Kellen.
Really? That's wonderful.
Kellen's face lit up with joy. This meant she would finally receive proper training and be able to unleash her true potential.
However, I want to ascend to the 9th heaven with my own powers,
she quickly added.
If that's what you want.
Kellen didn't object to her request. A few days later, Li Jinsi departed from the sect to begin her journey to the 9th heaven. Without delay, she headed straight for the stairway to heaven to test whether she could ascend to the 8th heaven at her current level. After spending nearly 20 years in the 7th region of White Hell, Yuan finally emerged from his cultivation. However, he had yet to achieve the next realm of cold harmony.
How long have I been in cultivation?
Yuan asked.
Almost 20 years.
Yu Ning responded.
That's quite long. Although I am close to reaching the next level of cold harmony, I don't think I will be able to achieve it in a reasonable amount of time in this environment. I must head to the 8th region, if not the 9th region.
Before leaving the cave, Yuan sent a message through his communication jade slip to Meishio, Chu Liuxiang, and Li Jinsi about his situation. Normally, they would have quickly responded, but they were currently busy with training and hadn't noticed that Yuan had contacted them. Without waiting for their response, Yuan left the cave and began making his way toward the 8th region. However, shortly after leaving the cave, he sensed a faint presence nearby, so weak that it was clear its owner was on the brink of death. Unable to ignore it, Yuan made a detour and followed the presence. As he got closer, he sensed several more presences, and they all appeared to be chasing after the weakened presence. Realizing the situation, Yuan quickened his pace and soared through the harsh environment with his body cloaked in true primordial fire. Sometime later, he caught up to the source of the weakened presence and saw a familiar-looking woman struggling through the 7th region. The sunstone she clutched was strained to its limits, unable to protect her fully.
Are you unharmed?
Yuan asked, calling out gently without drawing too near. Yet, his words startled her deeply, and without so much as a glance at him, the woman unleashed a fierce martial technique against him. 2151 White Hell Frost Lotus.
Whoa!
Yuan wasn't expecting to be attacked so suddenly, but he still managed to dodge her attack.
Calm down. I am not your enemy.
Hearing his familiar voice, the woman halted her movements and turned to look at his face.
You're the one from the cave?
The woman muttered in a weak voice.
HM? No wonder I find your face familiar. So you were that woman who came into my cave during my cultivation in the 6th region.
Yuan said after seeing her face clearly.
You look like you're on the verge of death. Need some help. It doesn't concern you. If you don't want to die, leave me alone,
she said before turning around and flying away. Yuan didn't chase after her. However, he didn't leave either, almost as if he was waiting for something or someone. Sometime later, Yuan could sense several silhouettes appearing in the distance and prepared to confront them. Within moments, these silhouettes arrived before Yuan. When they stopped, they immediately surrounded and questioned him.
Who are you? And where's the woman? Woman? What are you talking about?
Yuan asked, pretending to be ignorant of the situation.
Don't play dumb. We know you met and spoke with that woman,
said one of them. Just as Yuan had sensed their presence from afar, those cultivators also detected his, and naturally, they could tell he was with the woman. Though they had only been together briefly, it still marked them as connected in some way.
If you're talking about the injured woman I encountered just now, I don't know her or where she went. Why are you guys chasing after her, anyway?
Yuan said a moment later. There were 4 of them in a group, 3 men and 1 woman, and they were all between the 2nd and 3rd level of God Ascension. In other words, they were all powerhouses. As for the woman, she was only at the 1st level of God Ascension.
If you don't know her, then why do you care about our business with her? Not only was she greatly injured, but she was clearly running away from your group. If you have a good reason for going after her, I won't interfere. I am just a concerned bystander, after all. Interfere? What can you, a mere golden immortal, even do to stop us? We can kill you with a sneeze.
One of the male cultivators sneered in disdain.
What can I do? You don't want to find out.
Yuan responded with a calm smile.
If you're not doing anything wrong, you won't have to either. Enough.
The female cultivator suddenly barked.
Why the hell are we wasting our time on this meddler? That bitch is getting away with our White Hell Frost Lotus. White Hell Frost Lotus.
Yuan raised an eyebrow at the unfamiliar name. Still, he quickly pieced the situation together. It was clear this group was chasing the woman for that treasure.
You're right. Let's just kill him and get this over with. Guruyan, you can take care of this bastard. We'll go on ahead. Leave him to me. It will only take a few moments to erase his existence from this world,
said the man named Gu Ruyan. Without another word, the other three left the scene to chase after the woman. Yuan didn't stop them and focused on the man surnamed Gu before him.
Your surname is Gu? Do you happen to be from 7 legacy families?
Yuan asked, realizing that it had been a long time since he last spoke of their name. Gu Ruyan's eyes widened slightly with surprise.
You know me? And you still decided to stand in my way.
Yuan chuckled and said.
No, I have no clue who you are. In fact, this is my first time hearing your name. That said, I've had several encounters with the Gu family before, so I'm very familiar with your family.
Gu Ruyan narrowed his eyes at Yuan, uncertain whether he was a friend or foe of the Gu family. If Yuan turned out to be an ally, the situation would become far more complicated, and killing him would not be so easy.
What's your relationship with my Gu family?
Gu Ruyan asked.
We're good friends.
Yuan lied, a bright smile on his face.
Oh really?
Gu Ruyan was speechless.
No, I'm joking. You.
Gu Ruyan's expression immediately darkened, his gaze full of anger and killing intent.
How dare you mock me? Relax, that was a joke as well. I really am friends with the Gu family, but the one I know is from the lower heavens.
Yuan said calmly.
The lower heavens? Why would you be familiar with?
Gu Ruyan suddenly halted his words, and his expression grew grim.
There was an incident in the lower heavens where many members of the Gu family, including their patriarch, were slaughtered. No, it wasn't just the Gu family. The other legacy families, as well as the Ji family, were also involved. You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?
After a moment of silence, Yuan responded.
You just brought back some unpleasant memories, but to answer your question, yes, I happen to know a thing or two about it. After all, I was also there when it happened.
Gu Ruyan's expression darkened further as he asked in a cold voice.
I never asked for your name, but if I had to guess, it wouldn't happen to be Yuan, would it? Wow, that's amazing. How'd you guess? Are you a fortune teller, by any chance? I'll kill you, you bastard.
Without another word, Gu Ruyan drew his sword and lunged at Yuan, his entire cultivation base surging forth. Yuan drew number 1 under heaven to block the incoming strike. The moment their swords collided, a powerful ripple spread through the area, yet it barely disturbed the raging snowstorm.
According to the information we received, you're one of those outsiders who entered the 9 heavens with the Celestial Emperor's help. It hasn't even been a century since then. How in the world did you reach the 8th heaven so quickly?
Gu Ruyan demanded, unable to believe a player could advance to their realm in such a short time. 2152 Gu Ruyan.
So you know that I'm a player, huh? Is it really that surprising for me to be here?
Yuan responded with a calm smile as he blocked Gu Ruyan's next strike with ease.
We have been keeping track of their progress, and most of them are still in the 5th heaven. So how in heaven's name are you in the 8th heaven? In the 7th region of White Hell, no less.
Although those in the upper heavens were forbidden from approaching players until they reached the 7th heaven, many influential clans and powerful sects still kept close watch on their progress. This way, they could not only recruit them once they qualified, but also prepare themselves to deal with them if necessary.
And how the hell are you still alive? I thought the others had already taken care of you, hence why we stopped looking for you.
Gu Ruyan couldn't believe that Yuan had been alive this entire time. The events in the lower heavens sent shockwaves throughout not only that realm but even the upper heavens, for never before had anyone dared to provoke the Ji family, much less slaughter Lord Ji.
Why wouldn't I be alive? You guys didn't even attack me. In fact, that ambush you laid at the stairway to heaven had only managed to kill innocent players.
When Yuan first heard about the incident, he couldn't help but laugh and feel sorry for the players at the same time.
Regardless, your luck ends here. I'll finish today what the others failed to accomplish.
Gu Ruyan declared, retrieving a familiar-looking treasure. Yuan narrowed his eyes at the rod in his hand.
The Rod of Destruction, huh? You must be desperate to kill me if you're bringing that out so soon. What?
Gu Ruyan's movements suddenly halted, and he stared at Yuan with wide eyes.
Why you? How do you know about the Rod of Destruction? This item is extremely scarce, and only available to a few people.
Without any explanation, Yuan retrieved the Rod of Destruction he obtained from Zhenguoquan at the Abyssal Underground and showed it to Gu Ruyan.
You? Why the fuck do you have that? How did you obtain it? I picked it up. Bullshit. So, what are you going to do now? Want to use it at the same time, and see who comes out alive?
Yuan said with a calm smile on his face. Hearing Yuan's words, Gu Ruyan sneered.
You probably don't know this, but there are 3 tiers of rarity for the Rod of Destruction, and the higher the tier, the more powerful it is. While your Rod of Destruction is only tier 3, mine is tier 2. I'll completely obliterate you. In that case, why don't you show me just how powerful your tier 2 Rod of Destruction really is? If not, I'll use mine.
Yuan said, spreading his arms in a provoking gesture. Without hesitation, Gu Rian began pouring his spiritual energy into the Rod of Destruction. Although using such a powerful treasure may seem excessive at face value, Gu Rian considered Yuan to be threatening enough to use it. Although Yuan was only a golden immortal while he himself was a god ascension cultivator, Gu Rian realized from their brief exchanges that Yuan actually surpassed him in sheer prowess. Moreover, with Yuan's status as a player blessed by the Celestial Emperor, Gu Rian knew he could not afford to treat him lightly. This bastard was strong enough to kill Lord Ji and the others in the lower heavens. He cannot be underestimated. Gu Rian thought to himself as he pointed the Rod of Destruction at Yuan.
Pulverize this bastard.
The Rod of Destruction released a surge of black aura, and from its tip burst a crimson beam that struck toward Yuan in an instant. At the same time, Gu Rian used a treasure that instantly teleported him tens of thousands of miles away from his original location. The instant the crimson beam touched Yuan, it erupted, creating a massive mushroom cloud that swept away the raging snowstorm of the 7th region and obliterated every mountain within a 5,000-mile radius. The destruction was so powerful that even a god ascension cultivator would instantly perish beneath its prowess.
What the fuck?
The other three from Gu Rian's group were shocked when they saw the commotion behind them.
Did that bastard really use the Rod of Destruction to take care of a mere golden immortal? What is that idiot doing? The two of you go ahead. I'll go back and see the situation.
One of the men said. The other two nodded their head and continued their pursuit. Meanwhile, the one who stayed behind began traveling back to Gu Rian.
Holy shit.
Gu Rian muttered, his eyes wide and his mouth agape as he stared at the devastation. It was his first time witnessing the Rod of Destruction in action, and its power far exceeded anything he had imagined.
No wonder the others were going crazy for this thing. The range might not be that wide, but the raw power is insane. Anyone caught in the blast would be wiped out without a trace.
Sure enough, the power was so overwhelming that not even Yuan's physique could withstand it. His body was completely obliterated, but his soul endured, suffering only minor injuries that quickly healed on their own.
Alright, that was a little scary.
Yuan muttered as his body rapidly regenerated from nothing but his soul. When his form reconstituted, he found himself far from the blast site, having been hurled away by its sheer force.
By the heavens, never have I witnessed a treasure so fearsome.
Yu Ning murmured, her voice dazed. Feng Yuxiang nodded her head in agreement.
Though the world holds many powerful treasures, few, if any, can rival its sheer destructive might. And this isn't even the strongest Rod of Destruction. If this is only the second strongest, how terrifying must the first tier one be?
Yuan sighed. 2153 Gu Rian, 2.
What are you going to do next, young master?
Yu Ning asked Yuan shortly later. Yuan initially planned to return to Gu Rian, but he changed his mind when he sensed that one of Gu Rian's friends had returned.
He definitely thinks I died to the Rod of Destruction, so I'll deal with Gu Rian later. Right now, I should save that woman before his friends catch up to her and kill her.
Yuan had activated Shadow Veil the moment he restored his body, so Gu Rian was unaware that he had survived the attack. Thus, Yuan chased after the other two while Gu Rian reunited with his friend who had just returned.
Gu Rian, what the fuck do you think you were doing, using the Rod of Destruction in this place? Don't tell me you used it just to take care of that golden immortal.
The friend immediately began lecturing Gu Rian the moment they reunited.
I had no choice. He also had a Rod of Destruction with him. If I hadn't used it, he would have used it on me.
Gu Rian exclaimed his reasoning.
What? That golden immortal had a Rod of Destruction, too? Unless he's part of the faction, that's impossible. And if he really had one, why did you kill him? What if he was an ally? No, he wasn't an ally. He got the Rod of Destruction from someone else. I heard that Zheng Wuquan had recently perished at the Abyssal Underground. It's likely that he took it from her. Didn't Zheng Wuquan die from a natural phenomenon there? That's what we were told, but nobody truly knows since no one actually witnessed her death. If not for that, I can't imagine how that bastard got his hands on a Rod of Destruction. Another reason I know he's no ally is because that man was Yuan, the one who slaughtered Lord Ji and many of the 7 Legacy family's leaders back in Spirit Heaven.
Gu Rian revealed.
Wait a second. He was that Yuan. I thought he died in the ambush at the stairway to heaven.
His friend exclaimed with disbelief.
He said that the ambush had only killed innocent people. I don't know how he managed to slip away back then, but he's definitely dead now. There's no chance he could have survived the Rod of Destruction.
He was certain the Rod of Destruction had struck Yuan because once its laser locked onto a target, it would cling to them. Even if Yuan had tried to escape with a movement technique or a treasure, it would still have followed him.
Regardless, let's get out of here before someone comes and questions us. We cannot let the world know of the Rod of Destruction's existence right now. It's still too early.
Gu Ruyan nodded, and the two quickly departed to resume their pursuit. However, they chose not to rejoin their companions right away, wary that someone might have witnessed everything. Meanwhile, the male and female cultivators who had never abandoned the chase finally caught up to the woman they had been pursuing all along.
We finally caught you, you little rat who stole our white hell, Frost Lotus. That's funny, because I don't recall ever stealing it from you. In fact, I was the one who harvested the white hell Frost Lotus. You bastards were the ones trying to steal it from me.
The injured woman snapped.
That's nonsense. We had been camping the white hell, Frost Lotus long before you ever showed up. You just got lucky and harvested it while we were distracted.
One of them retorted.
Empty words. Anyone can claim that without proof. I watched over the white hell Frost Lotus for an entire year, and not once did I see any of you there.
She shot back. The female purser shook her head and said,
Why bother arguing with someone who will soon be a corpse? If you obediently hand over the white hell, Frost Lotus, we'll let you die a peaceful death. Otherwise, we'll make it as painful and shameful as possible.
The injured woman gritted her teeth in frustration, her eyes clouded with despair as the realization struck that there was no one to help her, and she was truly going to die here. Tears welled in the woman's eyes, but the extreme cold of white hell froze them the instant they appeared.
This is why you should have accepted my help when I offered it.
A familiar voice suddenly echoed through the air.
Who's there?
The two pursuers tensed in alarm, but no matter how they searched, they couldn't sense a single presence nearby, as if they were hearing the voice of a ghost. The next moment, a figure appeared before the injured woman like a ghost.
Why you? You're that golden immortal from before. Why the hell are you here? What happened to Gu Ruyan and Lin Caney?
The two instantly recognized Yuan's handsome face and exclaimed in a startled voice.
Don't tell me you killed them,
said the male pursuer.
That's impossible. There's no way a golden immortal like him could kill two God Ascension cultivators.
The woman expressed her doubt. However, Yuan completely ignored them and focused his attention on the injured woman before him.
My offer still stands. Do you need my help?
Yuan asked her.
Why would you risk your life to help me?
She asked skeptically.
We don't even know each other.
Yuan smiled warmly.
So what if we don't? Since when do we need to know someone in order to help them? I saw someone in need, so I offer my hand. That said, you look like someone I know.
The injured woman was left speechless. Benevolent cultivators like Yuan were rare in the cultivation world, especially at their level. After all, the best way to survive was to mind one's own business, and meddling in matters that didn't concern them was the quickest way to court death.
What is your name?
She suddenly asked.
My name is Yuan. Yuan.
The other two frowned, their brows lifting at the familiar name, though they didn't immediately recognize it.
Please, help me, Yuan.
The injured woman pleaded. Yuan gave a silent nod in acknowledgement, his gaze steady. 2154 familiar-looking sword.
Huh.
The other woman suddenly sneered out loud.
I don't know how you managed to escape Gu Ruyan and Lin Caney, but you're in no position to help others.
Yuan turned to face the woman and asked.
And who are you? Are you also surnamed Gu? Or do you belong to one of the other legacy families? You know who we are?
The woman expressed surprise at Yuan's words.
Not really, but now I know you're with the 7 legacy families. You know our background, yet you still want to defy us? You're dumber than I thought,
said the man beside her. Yuan shifted his gaze toward him and sneered.
Let's not pretend the 7 legacy families are some grand power in the upper heavens. You may have been all-powerful in the lower realms, but up here, your influence is nothing special. How dare you? Our families may not appear as imposing in the upper heavens, but that's only because we choose not to stand out. In truth, our influence is anything but small.
The man barked.
Shut up. Why the hell are you telling him everything?
The woman suddenly snapped at him.
Sorry, but does it really matter? He's going to die soon, anyway. If your friend couldn't kill me, even with a rod of destruction, what can the two of you little sheep do to me?
Yuan chuckled. Their eyes went wide, astonishment all over their faces, as Yuan's words were nothing short of unbelievable. Gu Ruyan had a Tier 2 rod of destruction, which could instantly kill anyone below the 3rd level of God Ascension. Yet, the man standing before them was only a golden immortal. Unless Gu Ruyan missed the attack, there was simply no chance that Yuan could have survived it.
What should we do, Sister Chun? If what he says is true, Zhuang Maojiang, are you an idiot? Of course he's bluffing. Now hurry up and kill him. I will take care of that thieving bitch.
She shouted. Zhuang Maojiang gave a hurried nod before drawing forth his battle axe, then charged toward Yuan in the next instant. Expecting Zhuang Maojiang to finish Yuan quickly, the woman surnamed Shen circled around the fight and rushed toward the injured woman. However, in their very first exchange, Yuan completely overpowered Zhuang Maojiang, sending him flying back before turning to confront the woman.
What the hell are you doing, Zhuang Maojiang? Stop playing around and kill him already. What the?
Zhuang Maojiang's face twisted in shock as he realized he had just lost to Yuan's sword. His cultivation was higher, and his battle axe should have held the advantage in direct clashes, yet he still lost, and so decisively at that. However, the woman's voice jolted him back to his senses, and he forcefully shook off his shock before flying at Yuan once more. This time, he didn't just use raw strength.
Heavy Dragon's Descent.
Zhuang Maojiang raised his battle axe high, activating a martial technique that caused the weapon to swell in size. Once it had grown several times larger, he brought it down in a vertical slash aimed at Yuan.
Oomph.
Yuan sneered and casually swung his sword upward, meeting Zhuang Maojiang's axe head-on once again. When their weapons collided, the mountains behind Yuan and the ground beneath them split apart. Yet Yuan stood perfectly fine, his grip steady, his stance unshaken, barely moving from the clash. After refining the dragon ancestor's blood essence, Yuan's raw power had skyrocketed, surpassing not only the limits of humans but even those of dragons. At this moment, there was no one who could rival him in sheer strength, and this doesn't even take into account his true dragon awakening, which would only further boost his strength.
Scram.
Yuan swung his sword the next moment, sending Zhuang Maojiang and his axe flying into the distance.
Impossible.
The woman surnamed Chen exclaimed after witnessing their exchange.
Who the hell are you? I already gave you my name.
He calmly responded.
That's not what I meant.
She cried out loud. However, her brows suddenly twitched, and her eyes slowly widened as though she had just realized something.
Wait a second, Yuan. That's the name of the madman who slaughtered the Lord of Spirit Heaven, along with the leaders of the 7 legacy families that ruled there. How are you still alive? I was told you've been taken care of. Sorry to disappoint you. But as you can see, I am very much alive.
The woman gritted her teeth and drew her weapon, a purple sword that radiated an ominous aura that distorted the very air around it. Yuan raised his eyebrows when he saw her familiar-looking sword, but before he could even say anything, the sword in his grasp trembled, and Zi Xian's voice boomed inside his head.
That's my sword.
The sword in the woman's grasp was none other than Violet Dream, one of the exalted blacksmith's earliest creations. It was also something he had given to Zi Xian in the past. And Zi Xian, who had been asleep this entire time, was jolted awake by its familiar aura.
You should have stayed hidden after barely escaping with your life last time. Now that you've shown yourself, I'll make sure to finish the job.
The woman said as she leveled Violet Dream at Yuan's face.
This bitch.
Zi Xian growled, her trembling voice on the verge of erupting.
Not only is she tainting my treasure with her filthy hands, but she dares to point it at you. I'll tear her apart, limb by limb. Calm down. There's no need to waste your energy on a weakling like her.
Yuan said quickly, trying to soothe her anger.
But my Violet Dream. Don't worry, I'll get it back for you. All right, but you better hurry, or I might accidentally do it myself.
Meanwhile, the woman surnamed Chen suddenly felt a chill run down her spine, and an unexplainable urge to flee seized her. Even though Zi Xian had not emerged from the sword, her killing intent was so overwhelming that it alerted Chen's survival instincts. Congratulations, you have finished listening to the current content.